In today's video I'm going to talk about my new favourite nano fish, the Chili Rasbora, also known as Boraras brigittae. I'm going to tell you everything you need to know on how to keep these amazing fish. I'm sorry if you can see the reflection of the camera in the glass. I found that using the camera on my phone was the only way to get good footage of these tiny fish. But first, if you enjoy this video, please give it a like, and if you want to see more guides like this, please subscribe to the channel to see more. I think the first thing we should talk about is where these fish are from. These Rasboras are from Borneo near Indonesia. These tiny Rasboras are often found in black water streams and ponds. These ponds and streams also do not have a lot of flow. The water they are living in is often stained brown due to organic matter and leaves decaying away. This leads the waters to become softer and lowers the pH of the water. The pH has been measured to be as low as 4 in the streams and ponds they are found in. The black water also reduces the amount of light that can reach the bottom of the water they live in. This is why their colours are so bright and vibrant. Their bright colours will help them find each other in the dark murky waters they live in. Chili Rasboras will grow to about 1.5 to 2 centimeters long. That's about 0.7 inches. This makes them the perfect nano fish. Some people like to call them microfish as well. And due to their small size, it means there'll be less bioload in your aquarium, meaning you keep more of them in your tank compared to a larger fish which would have a larger bioload on your aquarium. To tell the difference between male and female Chili Rasboras can be a little bit difficult. The males are smaller and slimmer and have a brighter coloration, whereas the females are larger and have a rounder belly. I find that these fish are not picky eaters when it comes to food. They will readily eat dry food. I like to feed mine Aquarium nano pellets. You can see my Chili Rasboras are really enjoying them. Before I drop them into the tank, I crush them with my fingers just to make them almost like a powder-like consistency. This will make it easy for the Chili Rasboras to eat as they got really tiny mouths. If you want to buy some for yourself, I'll leave a link in the description below. Also, live food is really good for them. The best live foods to feed them would be Daphnia, small bloodworms and baby brine shrimp. It's also good to feed fish live food as it will give some variation in their diet, and also a varied diet will help to bring out the best colours in your fish. Now let's talk about the tank you're going to keep them in. I recommend a tank size no smaller than 20 litres, which is about 6 US gallons I think. These Rasboras really do appreciate space as they like to live in groups, so the bigger the tank the better. Right, now let's talk about tank mates for these fish. Since these fish are so tiny, you don't want to pick big fish with big mouths like cichlids, or otherwise they'll probably end up as an expensive snack. A good rule to think about when you're buying tank mates for these fish is that if you can fit in its mouth, it's probably going to end up as a snack. Also, you don't want to choose fish that are aggressive eaters as they will out-eat your Chili Rasboras. Some to avoid would be larger Daniels and Rasboras. These fish go for the food really quick, so your Chili Rasboras might not end up getting any food. I found that these Chili Rasboras got on really well with Ottosinker's catfish and Corydoras. Some other fish I recommend would be Celestial Pearl Daniels and even Dwarf Sparkling Gouramis. I'm not 100% sure on how a betta would do with these fish, but it's a bit 50-50. I guess it depends on the personality of your betta and the size of it as well. I heard that some Chili Rasboras and bettas get on really well and the betta doesn't eat the Chili Rasboras. Another really good tank mate for these Chili Rasboras would be your dwarf shrimp such as Neocaridina and Caridina shrimp. The Chili Rasboras have really tiny mouths so they won't end up eating your shrimp, and I also found they won't eat baby shrimp as well, as long as there's enough cover for the baby shrimp to hide. The pH of the water should be around 4 to 7.5 max. The ideal temperature for these fish should be around 24 to 28 degrees Celsius, which is around 75 to 82 degrees Fahrenheit. When you do water changes, try and make sure the new fresh water is at least the same temperature as the aquarium, as you don't want to cause a temperature shock for these tiny fish. These fish do best if you have really soft water. The GH should be between 1 and 2, and the KH should be between 0 and 1. They can live in hard water, but they have to be drip acclimated so they can get used to the new conditions. My tap water is relatively hard, but I'm using ADA Aquasoil Amazonia, which will help to reduce the hardness a little bit. If you want to see how I drip acclimate fish and shrimp, I'll leave a little card above in this video. So yeah, these fish can tolerate a little bit of hard water if you can't help it. Having a really dense, heavily planted tank helps a lot. This will help to provide a lot of hiding spaces for them and also help to make them feel more comfortable in your tank. Also, having a heavily planted tank will help bring out their colours a lot more, and if you want to bring out their colours even more, I recommend using a dark substrate like ADA Aquasoil or the Tropica Aquasoil. The ADA Aquasoil will lower the pH and soften the water, which will make a better environment for these Rasboras to live in. The darker substrate will help the colours of the Chili Rasboras to pop a little bit more. When it comes to filtration, make sure the water flow isn't too strong as they are weak swimmers due to their small size. Sometimes in the wild these fish can be found living in stagnant water with absolutely no flow, so having too much flow can be really bad for them. In my aquarium I'm using a spin lily pipe which will help to reduce the flow a bit and make it a little bit easier for them to swim in. All these things I've listed are very typical in many aquascapes. This is often why Chili Rasboras are chosen for aquascaped aquariums. If you're able to create a really nice environment for these fish, the more natural behaviour you'll get out of them, and then hopefully you get to see some nice schooling behaviour out of them. Chili Rasboras are very peaceful fish. They tend to spend most of their time at the top of the aquarium. Since they do spend a lot of time at the top of the tank, floating plants are really good as they provide nice cover for them, but they will often venture into the middle and bottom of the aquarium as well, so they'll basically be all over your aquarium. I recommend you keep no less than 6 in a group, but the more of them you can have in your tank the better, as they'll feel more comfortable. Chili Rasboras will school together if they are in a big enough group and feel comfortable in your aquarium. The difference between schooling and shoaling is that schooling is a direction the fish are swimming in, and shoaling is a social behaviour the fish show. But most of the time you'll find them swimming in scattered groups of around 3 to 4 Rasboras. In my tank at the moment, it's got about 25 to 30 of these Chili Rasboras, and they're all doing really well, and they've all started to school together really well too. It's been often reported that it's quite easy to breed Chili Rasboras. They're an egg scattering fish that will continually spawn if the conditions are right for them, but they'll show no parental care towards their fry and probably end up eating most of them. The hardest thing about breeding Chili Rasboras is probably raising the fry until they're a big enough size to eat normal food. So if you want to try and breed these fish, I recommend you set up a separate breeding tank. You'll have to get your water conditions spot on to increase the chance of these fish spawning for you. One way you can encourage spawning to happen is by adding tannins to the water. You can do this by adding Indian almond leaves and aldercorns to your breeding tank. As the Indian almond leaves and the aldercorns start to break down, they'll start to release tannins into the water, which will soften it and lower the pH as well. This will help to create more ideal spawning conditions for the Chili Rasboras. The next thing I try to do is isolate 2 to 3 healthy pairs of Chili Rasboras and feed them on lots of live food and high quality dry food. You should do this for about a week to help condition them to spawn. A small 20 litre tank would be an ideal breeding tank. I would use a small sponge filter, as these ones suck up the eggs of the fry. A heater is also important in this setup, as you need the temperature to be about 26 to 28 degrees Celsius. That's about 78 to 82 degrees Fahrenheit. And then I would heavily plant the tank with lots of Java moss and Java fern. Java moss is a good plant to be used in breeding tanks. It provides a lot of cover for eggs to be hidden and for fry to hide in. Also, the Java moss will help to grow Infusoria in your aquarium as well. These are tiny microorganisms that the fry can eat. Once your pairs of Chili Rasboras have been conditioned and the water parameters are alright, they should just spawn naturally by themselves without any intervention. So if you manage to get the Rasboras to spawn, you have to remove the parents immediately, otherwise they'll start to eat the eggs. It will take about 24 hours for the egg to develop into a baby Chili Rasbora fry. At this stage, the fry are very small and start to use up their egg sac. This will be their first natural food source. Once the egg sac has been depleted, they will have to start to eat something else. These would usually be tiny microorganisms such as Infusoria, so the Java moss can help culture these in your breeding tank. And then around the 10 to 7 day mark, they should be big enough to start accepting foods such as baby brine shrimp and small microworms. And then after about 1.5 to 2 months, they should start to resemble miniature Chili Rasboras. At this stage, they should be able to eat crushed dry food just like adult Chili Rasboras. So in this last section, I'm just going to give you a few random notes about these fish. Most of the Chili Rasboras for sale are wild caught. This can make them really prone to having internal parasites. These internal parasites cause the Chili Rasboras to become really skinny, as they're not getting the nutrients they need from the food they're eating. In my experience, if you don't treat them quick enough, they'll end up getting too skinny and won't survive more than a week in your aquarium. So if you know you're buying wild caught Chili Rasboras, I recommend getting some anti-parasite medication just to help them out. Also, something to note is that when you buy these fish from your local fish shop, sometimes they're mixed together with Boraras mera. Boraras mera look pretty much identical to Boraras brigittae, the Chili Rasbora. Boraras mera is usually more orange in colour, whereas the Chili Rasboras are more red in colour. This isn't anything major to worry about, as they're pretty much identical to the Chili Rasbora. It's just something to be aware of when you're buying them. I found that the price can vary quite a lot when you're trying to buy these fish, at least in the UK. I've seen some places that can sell Chili Rasboras for as low as £1.50, but there are other places that sell one Chili Rasbora for about £3.50. I think that's roughly about $2 to $5. So try and shop around, you might be able to get yourself a really cheap school of Chili Rasboras, or you might end up paying a little bit more. From my experience, if you're paying around the £3 mark, you'll probably end up with the true Chili Rasbora and not the Boraras mera. If you do end up wanting to buy these fish, I highly recommend you get them from your local fish shop instead of getting them delivered online. I bought Chili Rasboras before online and in a shop, and when they're shipped directly to you, these fish don't do that well. I think this is because these are really small fish, so they're really delicate, so they don't really travel well. The ones I got from my local fish shop are really healthy and doing super well and survived. I think the less stress these tiny fish get, the better, especially when they're being transported around aquarium to aquarium. If you ever do see your local fish shop selling tank bred Chili Rasboras, I highly recommend you get them. They'll be way more hardier and they'll probably accept tap water better compared to the wild caught ones. And the last note I got on these fish are their lifespan. The average lifespan of a Chili Rasbora is about 4 years, but they can live up to 8 years if they're well fed and the water quality is kept up. This means you may end up with an amazing school of Chili Rasboras for many years to enjoy in your aquarium. As you can tell from this video, I really enjoy keeping these fish. They have so much character and add so much colour to your aquarium. They're such a great addition for any community tank, especially if that community tank is aquascaped as well. Hopefully now you have all the information you need to keep these amazing tiny fish. If you like this Chili Rasbora care guide, please give it a like, and if you want to see more guides like this, subscribe to the channel to see more. And finally, leave a comment below saying what guide you want to see next and I'll try and make it for you.